Good morning, good evening, or good night. Guys, hope you are doing well, and welcome to this little special edition video where we've got our boy Charlie from Blue Brothers, who is going to give us the full lowdown from a Chelsea perspective on our new signing, Santos, who I'm still extremely excited about. Charlie, well, firstly, before I say hi, Charlie, guys, we've got Charlie's channel link in the title. Make sure you go and show him some love. And of course, come our next away game, me and you ain't going to be friends, Charlie, for a week. How you doing, bro? How you doing?
Yeah, no, mate, I'm all good. Pleasure to be here as always. And yeah, looking forward to giving you the lowdown on your new guy. And yeah, hopefully look after him well for us.
We'll try, mate. I mean, we were messaging last night and you were getting me quite excited. And I've saw a lot of the summer series that you guys went off to in America. And I was watching your left back because we'd been linked to him. The young gun who was at, what's his name? I keep forgetting.
Martin.
That's the one. Yeah, I was scouting him, but it was Santos that was catching my eye, mate. And I know it's preseason, I know it's friendlies, but he just looked like a bit of a beast to me.
Yeah, no, he had a really good preseason. So we picked him up from Vasco da Gama in Brazil. And then obviously work permit issues and whatnot. He went back on loan there. And then he joined up with the squad this summer with kind of all options on the table. Maybe he stays if he impresses and does well, or he goes out on loan to, say, a top 5 league and gets that week in, week out experience at a better level. No disrespect to the Brazilian top flight, of course. But yeah, obviously, summer series, first real look of him as Chelsea fans in a Chelsea shirt. He really impressed. I've seen him in glimpses for the Brazilian age group sides, the under-20s. He had a good under-20s World Cup. He captained the under-20 Brazil side to the under-20 South American Championship. I think he's scored in the final as well. So look, he's one of those midfielders that can do a bit of everything. He can play as a lone six, whether in a 4-3-3 or whatever, or he can be box to box as well, and he can pop up with the occasional goal here or there. But what really impressed me about him in pre-season was just kind of how comfortable he looked at this level. It didn't seem to faze him. He's nice on the ball. He gets stuck in. He breaks up play well. He's still 19 years of age. There's a lot of development there, a lot to learn. But there's a player there that I think could be quite special in a few years' time, providing he's managed correctly, provided he's developed well. But yeah, I'd probably say he's more of a number 6, but he's definitely got that box to box vibe in him as well, and he has got an eye for goal also.
Yeah, he's like, you excited me by saying that number 6 because we're crying out for a 6. Like, we've got Danilo, obviously, who's Brazilian. I mean, we've got Brazilian vibes going off all over the place. Yeah, it's Nottingham Rainforest these days, not Nottingham Forest, man. But I just want to kind of get under that a bit. So the whole reason why you guys are letting him go first, if we start with that, is it to do with Lavia and Caicedo coming in potentially? Was there any plans for him to be more of a squad player this year, maybe for Chelsea, before you guys decided to go crazy with your money again?
Yeah, no, I think absolutely. Like as I said, all options were on the table during pre-season. Pochettino had always maintained that all the youngsters, Santos, Caicedo, these guys were going to get a chance in pre-season, and then obviously it was going to be assessed from there what was going to happen with them. Now, of course, Santos impressed. Obviously, Caicedo impressed as well. He's gone on loan to Leicester, which I think is going to be a great loan for him. And Santos, was going to be part of the squad, but I got the feeling that, when obviously Caicedo comes in, that's another space down the pecking order for him. And then Lavia comes in as well. That's another space down. Now, of course, if we go with the pivot or we go with the 4-3-3, whatever system we go with, like Santos probably would get some minutes. Sure, he would get some minutes. But is it really best for his development to be getting what I might describe as poverty minutes for Chelsea, like a few minutes here and there in the cup, maybe starts the odd league game? At 19 years old, when you're new to a league, you need to go and play regularly, get used to it, play week in, week out. So, look, I think he definitely could have stayed if we hadn't have signed Lavia or hadn't signed Ugochukwu, etc., and others in that midfield area. But I think, this is a good loan move for him. It's Premier League football. I imagine that the conditions that Chelsea and Forest have negotiated, they've sent him there with the idea that he is probably going to play most weeks. I'm not saying he's going to start every single week, but you'd imagine he's going to be featuring most weeks. Otherwise, we kind of wouldn't have agreed to that sort of loan setup. And in Ugochukwu as well, another youngster that came in from Rennes, people are thinking, well, why has he been preferred to Santos? And I look at it and think, well, Ugochukwu actually, whilst the same age, he's played, at least, well, definitely one full season in France, playing for Rennes week in, week out. They finished in the top 4 in France. European football, he's played there. So he's more experienced than Santos, which is probably why he's sticking about. Admittedly, he could maybe also go out on loan. But look, those are kind of the reasons as to why. Just basically, it's better for his development to go and play regularly than stay at Chelsea with the new additions we've got and just get a little bit of a look in here and there. It's not, when you're young, you want to play as often as possible, and this represents a good opportunity to play at a good football club in the Premier League and adapt to that league.
Yeah, I mean, let me put you on the spot. I haven't asked you this before, but I just kind of want to get the Forest fan base, give them an idea. If you had to liken him to a player, say, someone in the Premier League or in the European leagues or whatever, obviously, you're not gonna turn around and tell me, he is the next coming of whatever, I don't know, Casemiro or something. But is there a player you would liken him to that you see traits that he could develop into? Potentially, just to give the Forest guys some idea about him.
It's quite difficult because obviously I've not seen a lot of him play. I didn't really watch him an awful lot when he was playing in Brazil. Obviously, in the pre-season, he looked comfortable. He's looked good on the ball. He's like he's got that powerhouse sort of vibe around him as well. It's tricky because he's a young guy. He's not played that much for us. So he's not played a senior minute for us in terms of competitive games. It's a tricky one, that. I guess if I was going to go someone, I don't want people to jump on me at this one, but like if we're going at it like, what something similar to what he could be like, I think if he develops well, he could be someone that develops into an SEN type of player. I'm not saying he'll be as good. I'm not saying he'll be as good as Michael Essien or he'll be better than him, but it's got that. He could have that same sort of vibe and profile around him potentially.
Forest fans will hold Charlie to that. That's really good. And I want to touch on what you mentioned earlier about he can play, and do you think he is an out and out 6? But you also mentioned he could probably do that double pivot role if we were going, say, for a 4-2-3-1, something like that. Do you think he would adapt quite easily? Because something I've noticed about him as well, which Dino mentioned on the live stream yesterday, is that he gets a lot of goals with his headers. He seems to pop up in the box as well. So is he quite a disciplined 6? Because his goal scoring record is really good for a 6. Is that, or could that be potentially a negative because he's a bit ill-disciplined in terms of holding that anchor position?
I don't know. It's a tricky one. I think he certainly pops up with quite a few goals for the Brazilian age group team. I've certainly seen him get on the score sheet more often than not for them. I mean, I don't know. I'll be honest. I don't know. Wasn't really across his goal scoring record for Vasco. I'm sure he popped up with a few. But look, he's equally adept. He proved in the pre-season for us that he's equally as comfortable playing as a 6 in a 4-3-3. But he can also do that pivot role. We saw him play alongside Enzo Fernandez in that pivot in pre-season. He looks equally comfortable there. So I think nowadays the modern midfield player, or the next kind of generation of midfield players that are being developed now, you have to be kind of comfortable in different facets of being a midfield player. So of course he can do that lone 6 role, but I think it'd be doing a disservice to him to just to shoebox him in as a 6 and say that he can't do anything else, because there's more to his game than that. Obviously, yes, discipline in terms of positional discipline with younger players can sometimes be an issue. I haven't watched enough of him to know if that is an issue or not, but that's something that can be coached. Sure, no problem. At 19 years of age, that can definitely be coached into a player. But no, look, I think I wouldn't have any worries about him at all. I think, he's equally comfortable in a 6, and if you happen to go with a pivot, then he's comfortable there, and he can get forward, and particularly in the box from set plays, as you touched on. He seems to score quite a few headers, so he can be a threat from set pieces as well.
Yeah, and he's not that tall, is he? He's about 5'11", I think, 1.8 meters.
He's not massive.
Yeah, but he's quite physically strong as well, isn't he? Quite good on the ball. Yeah,
good build. He's strong. He's good on the ball. Look, there's a lot to like about him. Of course, at this level, he's still an unknown quantity. Look, for all the talent and all the ability he's got and all the positive things you've been saying about him, I think it's also important to say that, I'm not suggesting that he's not going to be good at this level, or he's not going to be cut out for this level, because I fully believe that he is. But I think we have to also kind of keep expectations on the
Yeah,
ground slightly. That he's not going to hit the ground running straight away at this level.
yeah.
It might take him a few games to get into it, but there's definitely a player there that can go on, have a very good season, and certainly contribute a lot of positives to Forest.
Yeah. So would you say that's, if we're looking at his negatives or his cons, he's still one, we need to taper expectations a little, just kind of give him time to settle into a team, break into it. And two, that inexperience maybe may be something he needs to learn and adapt to quite quickly with the Premier League. Would that be his cons, or is there anything else you've
Yeah,
noticed watching him?
I would agree with that. Of course, every player's got things they need to improve upon.
Mm,
Of course you do. You get a better understanding of the game as you play more and you get more experience. But yeah, I would say just kind of managing expectations, as you said, and just being patient with him, because it is, look, his first time in the Premier League. It's going to be different for him. But look, I think the Forest fans will be great with him. And I think, as I said, there's going to be a lot of positive things that he can contribute to Forest this season. But he just needs to be given the time and the regular minutes. And I'm sure he's gone there for a reason. Chelsea, are quite particular about where they send players on loan. And they'll have no qualms in recalling him if he's not featuring on a regular basis. But I'm sure from a Forest perspective, you said you've been crying out for sort of a defensive-minded midfield player of this profile.
Yeah.
So you would imagine that he's gone there because he's going to play.
Yeah, exactly. And like what we don't like at Forest, well, what we do, should I say, at Forest, is we get so many loan players in, we fall in love with them, and then they break our hearts at the end of the season, year in, year out. We had it with Jimmy Garner a couple of years ago. We had it last year with Lodi, we all fell in love with and everything. My fear is that I'm going to love him. And really, I know you don't know. I mean, well, I've seen the pictures of you and Bowley. You two are best buds, aren't you? But
We're best mates. Yeah.
But do you think, because they haven't put any loan to buy or obligations to buy
No option at all.
on this one, there's nothing. Does that to you say that he's definitely someone Chelsea want for the future? Or do you think that potentially, because you've got Casado, you've got Lavia coming in, you've got one or two others as well in there, do you think that come the end of the season, potentially this is a deal that may be done? Let's assume and hope that he does have a good year. Do you think it's off the discussion table, full stop, in your opinion?
I think, look, I don't think you can ever rule anything out in football, but the fact that it's a straight loan, no option, no obligation, is very much part of the Chelsea plans. Chelsea really like him. Everyone at the club, the recruitment side of things, the scouting department, etc., are convinced we've got a real gem on our hands here, and he will be given an opportunity to make a success of himself at Chelsea. Now, of course, if more midfield players come in, which I think is unlikely, I think we've done our midfield chopping down, and the midfield is set for the next sort of 4 or 5 years. That revamp's done. And he can certainly be a part of that, of course. But, he might decide that, look, he might get there, have a great season on loan at Forest, come back to Chelsea and think, right, okay, is this, going to be the best thing for my career? Now, of course, I don't think you can decide that without kicking a football for Chelsea. So what I would say is you can't 100% rule out him not leaving Chelsea, but I would be shocked if that move became permanent next summer. I would be very, very surprised, because I think he's at Chelsea. Everyone loves him. Everyone loves him at Chelsea, and I think he's going to be a big part of the future. When you look at Enzo Fernandez, 22, Caicedo, 21, Lavia, 19, Santos, 19, that's a midfield there that has got so much potential, so much talent, such a high ceiling.
And so many years.
He's going to be part of that. And then hopefully when we're back in the Champions League next season, he'll get more minutes because there'll be more squad rotation, because there'll be more games to play.
Yeah, so the benefit really for Chelsea is it's almost a win-win situation, isn't it? You're getting a guy out on loan, gets Premier League minutes in his legs, and then if he has a great season at Forest, I mean, his price tag's only going to go one way. If he doesn't, then at least you've felt him out. You can see what he looks like, and then potentially ship him out for another year's loan, maybe back at Forest or somewhere else, depending on what he's doing. So it kind of makes sense, doesn't it, to both parties here? We need a number 6. You need to get this guy out on the pitch. So I'm quite excited by him, mate, but I just don't want to fall in love with another loanee and have my heart broken yet again.
Well, I think you guys probably know that he's not staying at the end of the season. I
It
think it's
doesn't
quite.
matter. It doesn't matter.
To be fair, like a lot of Chelsea fans were like felt the same way about Joao Felix when he came. Obviously, he loved the club and that. But yeah, it's hard. It is hard. You know, you sort of forget they're on loan, and you take them in, and you sort of treat them as if they're one of your own. But then they're going at the end of the season anyway. But look, you guys will enjoy him. I think he's going to do great there. But yeah, he will be coming back to us. Hopefully, a better player and ready to hit the ground running with the likes of Enzo, Caicedo, Lavia, and hopefully contribute to the midfield for a number of years.
I can't wait. Charlie, thank you, mate. I appreciate you coming on short notice. I thought it'd be important for the Forest fan base. Hopefully the guys, well, I'm sure they will have enjoyed this. Get that insight from the blue side of things, how you guys have seen him and how he's performed. So I appreciate you coming on. And guys, go show your appreciation to Charlie. Go and subscribe to his channel. The link is in the title. It's Blue Brothers. And we will be going to war very shortly, me and you, Charlie. We scheduled in to have a chat once the big game comes around.
Do it, mate. Once we've got our relegation 6-pointer with Luton out of the way, it's game on.
Well, best of luck for you tonight, Charlie. And guys, make sure you go and subscribe. Also, give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you on the next video. Come on, you Reds.